Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. It's a late review, but I mean, the week was odd, as in when we are recording, there's still one game left for this game week, but hey, that's all we could do. That's the best we could do. So we are trying to do a review here, and if possible, we would also do a preview of the upcoming Champions League league game. With me today to do that, we have Arun with me. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
And before we start, I think we would also have to do the usual stuff of like, share, subscribe, and follow us, press the bell icon, all those regular stuff. Where are we?
You guys know what to do. You've been supporting us. Just continue the support.
Yes, please continue the support. Please share this information. We are at 297, so we would like at least 3 more before the City game, so that we would be 300 going into the City game. Subscriber count. That's what we were meaning. So Arun, let's get this started. Before I start on our game, I just want to touch on something.
The controversy of the week.
Of course, I'm going to talk about the controversy of the week. I've been talking about this for so long that I shouldn't be able to let that go, especially at this point in time, right? Like, I mean, the Spurs versus Liverpool game.
Yeah.
That was shit refereeing. I'm not sugarcoating it at all. It was shit refereeing. That was not an offside. It was given offside, and then there was no lines drawn. And then the reason that they came out with was stupid. And then PGMOL MOL came out and like issued an apology. Doesn't mean that there is going to be any difference in points. And then Liverpool has come out saying that they're going to take this forward. This seems to be, this is the sequence of events, but what a crazy thing to happen.
For me, it made like absolutely no sense. Actually, I was because it was this game was right after our game, Bournemouth game on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I was watching it with a friend, and we were certain that it was a goal, and we were like, okay, this is a great start for Liverpool because they're able to score equalize. I think Son scored the first goal, if I remember right. So they're able to equalize at Tottenham away, with 60,000 people, and I think they were already 1-0 down at that point. So it was like a huge goal of significance for them, the way in which they were able to pull that off, and then it gets cancelled. And I was waiting for the replay, waiting for them to actually draw the lines and show. And they're showing the replay where, like, me sitting at home watching on a TV screen was able to clearly see that it was onside. Mm-hmm. And they did not draw any lines, and they just said the goal is not standing. It made zero sense to me because it's as clear as it can get. You don't need geometry, you don't need lines, you don't need anything to see that. If you are someone who knows football and what the offside rule is, you will be able to say clearly that this is not an offside. And it for me it just doesn't stop there. Like it's like, oh, people are blaming VAR, but it's not VAR that's to be blamed. It's the people sitting and like doing the arbitration as humans that have to be blamed.
See, this is where like I wanted you to talk about this with me, because you have already told me, like when we discussed about the refereeing and the standards and all those things, you said about the human error, and to a point I could understand where it was like rules like fouls and stuff, which was not written, like there is no law, like there is no underlying like this is a foul, this is not a foul. It's a suggestion.
I find it's the same thing for handballs too. Like this is a handball, this is
but offside is not one such thing. It's a very clear-cut rule, whether you are on the line or off the line. That's it.
Absolutely, yeah. And the way in which they finished it quickly, like again, initially there was a joke that the guy who was supposed to draw the lines went to take a bathroom break, and that's why like there was nothing drawn. As funny as it was, it was something that I couldn't really rule out because of how incompetent the referees have been so far this season. And it's a theme that is continuing and it's recurring, and the fact that they are protecting themselves with the shield of bookings if someone comes to protest against those decisions is only like making the problem bigger. It's not like helping in like taking care of this problem. Technology is supposed to help. The most frustrating thing for me is like you take any sport, you take ice hockey, you take tennis, you take like the NFL, you take cricket. In all of these sports, they are using technology in the most accurate way possible to make sure that the right decisions are made, and no team is actually like going to get uh, penalized for a mistake that is not theirs and from the referees. We in football, it's the only sport where they are still resistant to apply that across the board, and especially in England, like they implemented that semi-automated onside offside system in the World Cup, and the PGMOL is still resistant to have that.
The thing is like I don't know if you saw the official statement from the guy, the VAR guy. He said that because they thought that the goal was given, they said there was nothing to check. It seems
Check, yeah.
it was ridiculous. Like
I think he just said check is complete, check complete.
yeah,
So the check complete meaning that it's not just the VAR guy who is like at fault, it's the on-field referee as well who is at fault at this point. Like he's been given the tool to make the right decision, and he perfectly uses that tool to make the best wrong decision that he possibly could make.
and by the way, like before we continue on this topic though, right? Like there are talks about, especially in UK, and I don't know, some people have been claiming this as, oh, the referees went to Saudi Arabia before this game. So when they came back, they are like being shady about this because they wanted Liverpool to go down because they want City to win, which is owned by a South. No, this is like that's not.
That's the thing. It's not happening only in the Liverpool game or only in the game that is competition for Manchester City. United are getting wrong decisions. Like who would have thought?
Yep.
Who would have thought? That's the state right now. It's like the fact us as fans, the clubs, the players, they all have to take a stand at this point. Like you cannot dismiss this saying that referees are humans and humans are error prone. That's not what football is about right now, and that's why you have all of these tools, right? So that romanticizing that human error factor, given all the tools that are available at the disposal, and the fact that they're resisting to use more tools that could help their what they do is like it just like blows my mind that part is like something that I'm not able to wrap my head around. And the second thing for me is like all of this talk about referees going and officiating in Dubai. Why the fuck are they going and officiating in Dubai? Like you're coming back within a day, you're traveling all the way from here. We're talking about players who are like the travel and the preparations and everything. Being a referee is a very mental thing. Like how are you going to be at the top of your game after like traveling, and then all of a sudden you land here and within 2 hours you're going to be officiating a game? Like why are they allowing all of this clownery? Like it makes no sense to me.
I mean, they are not getting paid. That's the reason that they are traveling.
Then fix that problem rather than letting them go to Dubai. Like you have technology, you don't want to use technology. The Premier League is the richest league in the world. There's the money inflow and the revenue that the Premier League generates cannot be matched by any other competitive league in the world. Maybe the IPL, if you take a global aspect, but apart from that, the revenue generated by the PL cannot be equated at all. And if all the money is coming in, the clubs are getting parachute money, and why are the referees not getting paid? If that's the reason why they are going all over and they are being like this, then like it's not just the referee, it's the FA that needs to be blamed. So I don't know who to blame. It's beyond that point for me. All the teams should take a stand and start doing. I loved what Liverpool did.
But what are they doing? Like they have issued a statement, but what can they do?
They cannot, like, again, it doesn't happen overnight. That's what I'm saying.
There's not going to be like the point is the 3 points are gone. Whether they win that game or draw that game, it's gone.
True, but they're not fighting for just these 3 points that they're gone. They're fighting to prevent any more 3 points that they're going to lose in the future because of this incompetence. That's why I'm saying, like, it's when Arteta and we got wrong decisions. We last year at the Bournemouth game or the Brentford game where like the flag the line wasn't drawn. We were just told to like and it was a crucial game where like in the middle of February, which could 2 points would have made a huge difference for us. We lost a bit of momentum at that point, but had that stood, the entire scenario would have been different. And we were told to just like take it in the chin, man up, and then continue on playing. No, no, we shouldn't be doing that. No team should be doing that. Like this, all this maverick talk of the referees and human errors, it should be kicked out. What is the point? Like that 3 points, that one referee decision is going to be the change between a team staying up in the Premier League with after all the fight that they had to undergo the previous season in the Championship and dropping down to Championship and probably lose momentum and keep dropping down.
Yeah.
So like all of this, like we at the top clubs are like, okay, it's happening one day. This decision is happening. It's fine because we are going to get other opportunities to beat teams. No, that's not the way you approach this problem. The powerful six are only going to get powerful, and even then they're getting their asses kicked because of these decisions. So they have to take a collective stand to make sure that they sort of like oppose this every single time. Like at the end of the season, only the points on the table count.
Yep.
The apologies from the PGMOL, like they amount to fuck all. They don't amount to anything at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I was talking about, right? Like the whole point of it is that it is shady. It is unforgivable, especially in the grander scheme of things. This is not how a professional league should be run.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But we'll see. We'll see. It will keep happening, and there will be voicing. And I have been voicing forever, and we have been voicing here. And
You know what? Now I feel that we are beyond the point of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. That's where it is for me. Like we were jokingly talking about conspiracy theories against us. Now I'm just surprised that it's like every team is seeing this. When it's like only when it happens to you do you really realize the magnitude of the problem. And that's what I feel is happening to all the other teams. When we were the only team complaining, everyone was like just telling us to like, move on and don't be a crybaby. And now when like Liverpool has got it done, it's suddenly the news of all of the country. And they're talking about this could be the difference between the title between Liverpool and City. Like, what the fuck is this nonsense?
Yeah.
Honestly speaking. Like this happened to us the last year when we were actually in a title race. Now we are 7 games into the season. You're talking about title race and the impact of this on this. Where did all of this go last season?
Because it's Arsenal.
This is nonsense. Like this league will not improve if this is going to be the case.
Yep.
It's just like riding on the fact that we have the Premier League has money. And that viewership is just masking all the incompetence. It's going to come crashing one day.
But yeah, hopefully before that things change. But we have a game to discuss, so let's get to the game. 4-0 victory. I mean, I was complaining all this time about us not clicking attacking wise, and that we had that PSV game as a one-off where we were clicking attacking wise. But this game, wow, we clicked. We really clicked.
We did. It was a lot of fun to watch this game. The way in which we played, everybody had like a pretty good game. There was no one person that struggled, and I liked what I saw on the pitch in terms of like what the players did, the formations that we tried, and that amazing gesture from the captain to hand the penalty to Kai, and like what followed for like the next half an hour with the crowd singing the song. It seemed like a home game. Yeah, it seemed like a home game the way in which it proceeded. And like tactically it was one of the best games that we've played. Another interesting point that I saw is that we are the team that have faced the lowest of low blocks this season so far across all the 5 leagues. We have the team with I think the the average length of the team against us on the pitch was like 35 meters or something from their goal. That's like a proper low block. So that's how we have been playing. And like I don't know if the fluidity has got something to do with the kind of teams that we're playing, though we played Tottenham and still there was no fluidity. But like they're trying something new with in this game, for example, we had like a numerical advantage with the goalkeeper coming in and slotting it as one of the center backs. So that was like something new that I was first like initially thinking this is just regular, right? I mean, like a goalkeeper is passing the ball until I noticed this position with respect to the rest of the pitch.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the disadvantages of like the Vitality Stadium. We were really not like we did not have really good camera angles,
Yeah, you
right?
cannot see the whole thing. You cannot see the whole
Exactly.
picture. But before all that gameplay and stuff, before the game actually, Arteta was talking about so many. I mean, I don't know if I should call him a liar, but he has done this so many times, like where he would say like, oh, this person has not trained, that person has not played. Like he said, oh, Rice has not trained. Saka is still feeling a little bit on the side, and Saliba is also feeling something. And then Trossard has not trained. And suddenly you see Rice starting, Saliba starting, Saka starting, and then like Trossard's on the bench. Like it was a good surprise. I'm not complaining about it, but I'm just like going like I was expecting something else.
Yeah, I hear what I hear you. Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's mind games.
But
And if
why mind games to bone?
that's
Like
all right, that was
of
going to
all
be
the
my
things.
next point. Like I don't know if it's mind games, but why? If it is mind games, like why use it against Bournemouth? I don't know. But it was nice to see like Saka continue playing,
Mhm.
especially after we saw him like hobbling off.
But
You
he
know,
hobbled off in this game too.
in this
I,
game
I
too.
I
Yeah,
am getting a little bit worried in that sense. Like we need to start subbing him before he starts hobbling off.
it was frustrating to see that part. Like, I mean, we were already 3-0 or 4-0 up at that point. He should have been subbed off. Like, I didn't see any reason why he should have been playing, especially after we got a 3-0. I don't think this team is so bad that like we lose a 3-0 lead against Bournemouth and have them like, go on to draw or win the game. So it made no sense to me why he was still on the pitch. That hobbling off again was a point of concern. But again, the manager does have his team of medical, like medical stuff. Especially, I trust them more right now, given that Gary Driscoll is no longer at the club. So I trust them and their decisions much more right now than I ever did before.
Yeah.
So, but again, you are right. It's a cause of concern because we have seen at this very club things happen to players who had high potential, high promise, and then their careers just like petered out because of one career threatening injury that made them never play the same way they did. But we are also reading reports of facts like Saka has been like training at home with a routine, and I don't know if overtraining is possibly likely to cause harm as well because the players' bodies, like when you're going to the gym, they tell you to have like adequate rest in between gym workouts. That's for us who are just going there to lift like weights for half an hour. And now you're talking about players who are playing like 100, minutes of high intensity football who have the body types that are not made to take hard knocks like in the NFL. And
Yep.
these guys are getting repeatedly attacked and without any protection from the referee. Another thing, like there's no point talking about that right now, but they don't get any protection from the referee. And the manager is not helping in this case either, I find. Like there's no point blaming the manager once the injury happens. That's like not going to lead to anything,
Yep. But
you
the
know.
thing is, the best thing though is right. Like I mean, getting because we are talking about Saka, right? He's 22, and we were talking at least a couple of games before. We were talking about like, oh, Saka has been having a slow start. He needs to step up and all those things. Now in this time, he has like 5 goals and 4 assists
Slow
in
season.
Premier.
You have to mention that he has a slow
I
season too.
mean, he's 22. I'm not trying to jinx it or anything, right? Like, I mean, that would be me painting him. Like, for people who don't know that, like, if I paint some of our current players, they would have a bad season. So I'm not painting anyone, just to be clear. But uh, this this guy, we have seen him from 17. He's 22 years old now, and he's been performing day in and day out. Surely he's one of the best players in the world at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, definitely. I would say if you're going to call like um, people like what's that guy's name? Quicha Kvaratskhelia or something. The one who plays for Napoli.
Yeah.
If you're going to have him as like one of the best players in the world, based on his performances for Napoli, yeah, Saka should also be in the same bracket. He's
Mhm.
way more consistent than that guy. And if like Rashford is claimed to be a world class
No,
footballer, then
he's not.
Saka's way better than that. So like we gotta give him the credit. One thing that I would like to see, I'm torn at this point because I want to see him like tear up teams in the Champions League. I want to see him play more in the Champions League. But on the other side, I'm also worried that playing in the Champions League is going to be compounding his injury issues and all that. So I don't know how the manager is going to find a balance between the two, but making him play 75 minutes is not the answer in my opinion.
Mhm.
We can talk all about the medical stuff and all that he has, but like this as a common man, if you're able to see, then I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, you've to answer your question, he's probably definitely one of the best players in the world right now. In his age bracket, I cannot see like Phil Foden is being called the generational player. Of course,
Mhm.
he's very good, but I've never seen him go as consistent as Saka has.
Yep.
And that's where lies the difference between being world class. Your availability is a very underrated factor that people don't think about. All
Mhm.
these magical numbers that Foden has probably would level out and would go down once he starts playing more minutes regularly rather than just making a few appearances here and there.
Yep.
You are always fresh. You can argue about the rhythm, but you're always fresh and ready to go. Plus, you're surrounded by fantastic players. So if Foden is generational, if Foden is world class, Saka definitely is world class.
He always scores the first goal for us.
Yeah,
That was a good goal. But then,
yeah.
like, it kept getting better. It kept getting better in the sense, like, after that goal, I think Raya makes a save out of the number 10. And then we get that Eddie and Ketia run that ends in a. Like, on the first moment when I saw that, like, I thought, oh, Eddie missed it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
took
yeah.
the knock is what I thought. Like, but then on the slow mo, when I saw that, like, he had the last touch of the ball.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
like so good to see. He was. I think Eddie had one of his very good games of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah, definitely. Especially away from home. Like I know we don't like talking about the intangibles in terms of like what the player does. But in this game, Eddie had like a fantastic game for a center forward who was like playing according to the system. He doesn't have to be the one scoring goals, but he has to be the enabler for the others. And he was doing that part perfectly, be it is pressing, be it is being the annoying forward who intercepts passes or like who's always putting you under pressure.
Mhm.
He was really good. He was really really good. I was surprised given how he was against Tottenham, and then all of a sudden he puts in a good performance. You know what? This is one of those performances that would go under the radar because at the end of the game he doesn't have anything to show in terms of numbers for that game, right?
Yep.
Like he didn't have an assist, he didn't have like a goal, so nobody's going to remember this game at the end of the season. Like even like, our fan base is such that even if he scores a goal, no one gives him any credit. And now like he's not done anything, but he's had a fantastic game. He's had a 7.58 on 10 game, but nobody's going to remember this. Unlucky Eddie is all I would say.
But the thing is, like, the penalty. The first penalty was taken by Odegaard, and for me, I feel like between. I mean, I'm going back and forth between Saka and Odegaard being our first choice penalty taker because when Odegaard takes the penalties, it feels like more composed for me than Saka. But Saka, when he takes the penalty, it's more powerful than Odegaard. So I'm going back and forth on who being the first choice.
I think I don't know if this is the right one. I think it depends a lot on the kind of opposition as well, I guess,
Mhm.
and where we are playing. So like at home, I don't think Saka has too much pressure in terms of taking penalties. And like given that he missed one, and the fact that he did miss one for England, they are just I believe are trying to take pressure off of him
Mm.
by not having him take these penalties away from home. That's my theory. I'm not sure about it, but like we will have to see more games during the season to see if that really is the truth. But for me, that's how it feels. Like at home, when the crowd is behind you, and you don't have the opposition fans trying to distract you or In that situation, I believe that the plan is for Saka to take the penalty. And
Mm.
when it comes to away games where there's more pressure, where Odegaard seems to be more level-headed, and his penalty technique also gives him the time to choose where he wants to go to while beating the keeper. I felt Havertz also did the same thing. When he paused for a moment, that pause might seem like a long time for us on TV, but probably it's like just like a fraction of a few seconds. So that made a difference in terms of unsettling the goalkeeper. And Saka's, you don't want to change your penalty taking technique at later in life because
Yep.
you've already developed it. So I think that could also be one of the reasons why, these guys are taking it away from home and Saka takes it at home.
But it was I mean, the second penalty, of course, we need to talk about it. It was Odegaard who gets the penalty, and then we see that Gabriel Jesus and Odegaard discussing it before giving to Kai.
Yeah, yeah.
I really thought Jesus is gonna take it
Me
because
too.
he had a good game. It's surprising to see that both Jesus and Nketiah both had great games in the center forward position. Completely different games, but great games. Because Jesus should have scored in a couple of situations. Even the first goal was from a header from Jesus that just clips the bar from
Yeah.
an impossible situation. And then they give it to Kai. And for a moment, I thought when he scored, yeah, I didn't feel anything. That he was shy or anything, but his celebration was so muted. He felt
Yeah.
so shy. People kept pushing him to celebrate more.
He seemed more confident once he scored that. Like his body language sort of changed, and it's the fan singing. I think he felt that love for the first time. I guess I don't know how the Chelsea fans were with him, but over the last season or two, from whatever I've seen Chelsea fans label him like not fit enough for the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been told that you will wait and see. There'll be a point in the season where you'll realize that he's not made for the Premier League. So again, even with him right now, even within our fan base, not everybody has bought into the Kai Havertz transfer, right? Like even we were discussing about it in terms of how it's affecting our gameplay, and it's easy to point the blame on that one factor, which is the change between what we were doing last season and what we are doing this season. And the price tag is also going to weigh heavy on that, right? So when we talk about players, we immediately bring the price tag into it, and we're like, okay, 65 million has gone down the drain, and our fans just converted that into the song. So it was like I didn't first understand what they were singing until I increased the volume and I was able to hear what they were singing, and it was a lot of fun. Like I was very happy to see him score. Hopefully it breaks the duck, and it gives him the confidence that he can also take more shots, because I can see what the manager is trying to do with the style of play that we are having, which means that when Odegaard drops down in the build-up, Havertz doesn't have to worry about the defending, and all that he has to concentrate is on attack along with the other four and in front. So that also gives us, like, we know that Havertz is also a playmaker, brilliant playmaker from his time at Leverkusen. So it gives Havertz an opportunity to do a lot more things than what he would normally do. And if he can just sustain this pressure and continue doing what he's doing right now, he's had quite a few decent games. I don't remember him stinking the joint up in any of the games. He had quite a few good games in the sequence of, not good games, I would say decent games, where we could see his impact, what he was trying to do. Though he missed goals, we could see the fact that when it comes to the larger picture of the system and not just going to that one individual player, you can see the kind of change that we are trying to bring about in terms of how we play. So um,
The problem
rather
is though the problem is though that we are trying to he is at least we as fans are trying to see him replicate what Shaka did last season, right? Like
Yeah,
we
and
are
that's not going to happen like this, right? We waited for 5 years for Xhaka to do what he did last season.
yeah. Uh,
You know?
But the thing is, it was funny to see Arteta in the post-match thing, where, as usual, he did the Artetaism or whatever we can call it. He was like, "Yeah, it's like Usain Bolt when he said, I trained for 4 years to run nine seconds." So like that. This is how Kai has been training and playing well for so many games for him to get this one moment of magic to feel that love and all those things. But yeah, it was great to see all the players coming in, except Raya, who was being like, who was Arteta took him aside during that time and was explaining something to Raya.
Yeah,
I was like, this is not the moment when you are teaching him stuff, but it was. Everyone else was, celebrating, but except Raya, who was being taught something. But it was really nice to see that the whole thing, being acknowledged and the whole goal scoring thing. Just to continue with the goals, the final goal, obviously, it's icing on the cake. Ben White doesn't score a lot of goals, but
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Like, and it was so much fun to see him score a goal. Like, he scored a crucial goal last season as well. I believe in the Bournemouth's away game, home game. Second goal, I think he was the one who scored that goal, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So he doesn't like. It's easy to not pay any attention to a player like Ben White because, like, he's not going to give you like 10 on 10 every game, but he gives you a solid 7 or 8 on 10 every single game. And when you have like players like Gabriel and Saliba who are like, 9 on 10 and in some games, and like they're the more flashy players, where this one just like keeps running, keeps his head up, keeps doing his job game week in, week out, he generally tends to go under the radar. And then like he's not
especially like, when you look up as, your time at the club, you will look up at like, defenders, as in like the center backs or forwards or midfielders, but fullbacks are always like, the ones that it's never considered. I mean, the last fullback we all agreed was great was Ashley Cole, and someone who was decent was Sagna. That's it. We never agreed on any other fullback.
You know what? I believe that's also got to do with the way in which they perceive the. Like I said, the lack of flash means that he's never going to get the same treatment that a Trent Alexander-Arnold gets. Though Trent is like a shit defender.
Yep.
Because of the fact that he takes free kicks and he gives those Hollywood passes, and like because of that part, people forget that he's like a defender first and foremost, and defending is his primary job, and he's supposed to do that well. Nobody talks about that. If only us Arsenal fans are able to like gas Ben White up the same way those guys do. They're like putting him in Trent and like the best right back over the likes of Walker, over the likes of as the best right back the Premier League has ever seen.
That's a joke. He's not even like. I mean, this is going to be controversial, but he's not even better than Nacho Monreal when he
in defending. I would agree with you. Yeah, I would definitely.
Yeah, agree. I mean, overall game wise, I would say Nacho Monreal was much better suited for that team and had a much better impact than Trent did.
Could probably be, but like he's suiting their system there, so. Yeah. And like I said, but like leaving Trent aside, the thing is like we have a gem in our hands who is not getting the kind of reception and praise that he needs to get. Like, we've had like the pundits, I'll put that in quotes, like Neville and Carragher questioning his transfer and calling him a waste of 50 million, where you have in a league where you have guys like Kukureya going for 65 million and no one like, bats an eyelid. So the perception amongst everyone is that he is not good enough against tricky wingers, and he's also not doing himself any good by like repeatedly failing against Rashford. But
that's the
I don't see that's the thing, and I don't see why that has to be a reason to sort of not recognize or validate what he does for the remaining 30 games in the season. He's almost always available.
True, and also almost always providing these kind of like stable performances with no complaints, with nothing.
Absolutely.
I mean, Southgate should start burying his hatchet and start playing him in the England team.
That's the problem. I find like nobody has been able to see whether he's going to be like good as a right back or a center back, because in their heads he's a center back, and the fact that we have changed him to right back, he's also unlucky to be born in the same time as like Walker, Trippier, likes of those guys who are like higher up than him in the pecking order. And there's like Reece James too, who when available is one of the best defenders around, but his availability is a huge concern again. So if we are talking about the other three apart from Trippier and Walker, Ben White is as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold or or Reece James, I would say even better, or even Wan Bissaka, even better on all three of them. But he doesn't get a chance because he's not flashy.
Yep. But yes, he did get to score the goal. And just a quick note on the substitutions, because especially there's like we have been talking about the squad depth and stuff. This is where squad depth comes into picture. I thought like both Vieira and Smith Rowe had a good game coming off bench,
Yeah,
and Smith Rowe should have scored. He had like
he should
two
have.
genuine.
He should
uh,
have.
he should have. He was like, yeah, he should have. This should have started his season, and I feel Smith Rowe is getting closer and closer to
Yeah,
putting his name in that mix for first team's starting 11 kind of situation.
That's where I saw he was like very disappointed. I think he was, people were saying that he was in tears after the game ended because of the chances he missed, and Zinchenko was consoling him. But the very fact that after being away for almost 500 days, he's been able to come back and do the things that he did in terms of getting into good positions, the movement and everything. It's only a matter of time. Like for me, the biggest thing is he should not lose hope or anything, or think that the lack of a goal or lack of an assist is going to, because the confidence is a big factor. Players, like, it's not just about the physical prowess, the mental factor is huge, and that makes, like, we saw the difference in the body language and how it's before and after he scored that penalty goal. It is a penalty, of course, but the amount of confidence that doing the something right gives you is incredible. And this is where I feel like Carlos Cuesta has a big job in his hands in terms of like bringing both Kai and like ESR into like more of confident players who can go head on and take their chances and finish them. So it's a good problem to have, in my opinion. Like when your players are beginning to hit form, and we are only like 7 games into the season, it is definitely a good problem to have. Just now, it's just all about like giving the manager more confidence to uh, so he can really believe that you could be a possible replacement for a Saka or like an Odegaard when things are a problem. So that's the next step. So I hope like they continue on this trajectory and get to where they have to.
Okay, so that we would put a lid on that game, because yes, of course, we are happy that we won that, and but there are other things that happened in the game week that we are happy too. So it's time to discuss all that. We have been doing that for quite some time. So if you are still following, please do like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep supporting us, because we are trying to do something that all Arsenal fans want. Talk about your favorite club. Um, Arun, the game week was interesting because it started with the Aston Villa Brighton game. Brighton has
Oh
been
my
that team for,
god.
I mean, Brighton has been that team, and then that team got that teamed. Is what I would say.
You know what? Like, as much as we enjoy what De Zerbi is doing, and we praise Brighton for the team that plays like good football, no matter whether they're home or away, they keep doing the same thing. There's a small factor called humility in football that they don't seem to have. That like you win a game against United, yeah, but like you can be happy for yourself. You don't have to post like the view from Andre Onana's. You're not playing them at home.
Yep.
Like, if the very fact that you had the gall to actually go and put a camera there and record shit like this and then come back, it's like, you guys have to learn to be humble.
Yep.
So you're right, they got brightened out by Aston Villa. I was very surprised. I should have taken Watkins in my FPL team. I was thinking about it, was contemplating that for too long, and then I decided my front three of Alvarez, Haaland, and Isaac is good. Bad decision. Lost out on like quite a few points. But yeah, we know Unai Emery's teams do this. The way in which they play, the intent with which they play. It might not be consistent throughout the season, but when it clicks really well. Like if you think about like the Tottenham NLD that we won 4-2, it was like that. It was like when it clicked, it looked beautiful, and the goals were like just coming left, right, and center. So when it works, it's beautiful, but it's not consistent and sustainable throughout a season.
Yeah.
But with wins
But it's
like
not our
this,
problem. It's not our
it's not a
problem.
problem. That's what I'm saying. But with wins like this, they're putting themselves as strong contenders for another European finish for this season. Especially with the likes of like Chelsea and United not being up to speed yet. and Newcastle are trying their best, but like these guys are definitely going to be in the mix for European spots.
Yeah,
Both
definitely.
these teams, I would say, both Brighton and Aston Villa.
I like after seeing this game in the midweek game, I'm questioning Brighton a little bit because I feel that even though their rotation and gameplay and everything looks fine, I think the squad is not mature enough, or the squad is not complete enough to go the or the
Across competitions, you mean?
yeah. When going gets
I can
tough,
see
that's
that.
when I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
things
yeah,
might
yeah.
go a little bit different.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can see that happening. Man.
but the other game that really was, I mean, we just defended United a little bit, but the truth is that we all enjoyed that game, didn't we?
I think I was still traveling, so I don't remember if I saw that game or not, but I heard that there was like a blatant handball decision that was not given to United. But even then, you're playing at home. You're playing at home,
I
Crystal
mean,
Palace.
19 shots. United had 19 shots,
Yeah,
741 passes, 741 versus Crystal Palace has 221.
that's a thing. That's a
500
thing.
passes more than the opponent, but still the opponent wins.
They have their injuries and all that, but like Crystal team, you're at home. Like if they had lost away, I would have sympathized with them probably a little, but like you're at home. You should be like
I mean, what are the injuries? Like, definitely to talk about what are the injuries. They had
half
Mount
their
back.
team is out.
They
Half their
had
team is
Mount
out.
back. They had Casemiro. They had Varane. They had Bruno Fernandes. They had Rashford. They had that new guy Hoyland. So they did have people. And then like off bench, you had like that Garnacho kid. They had that. I really like one of the reasons why I always look back and go like, yeah, United should be is because I always like that kid Donny Van de Beek.
Yeah,
And then he was wasted at United. Like he
yeah,
is
yeah,
still
yeah,
wasted at United.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, I agree with you. I don't understand what he's still doing at the club. Why hasn't he left yet? He's a pretty good player who needs a good manager to make use of his strengths. You
I
know.
think he's done. I think he's done. His career is done, is what I feel.
I really
He's.
don't hope that's not the case. Honestly, like it's
Mhm.
a one good player that was lost because we are seeing a lot of other people from that same Ajax team that went on that wonderful run. Many
Yep.
of the other players are also sort of facing the same issue. Like apart from Delight, and
Mhm.
FDJ right now is probably having a new lease of life, but the rest are still like not set the stage on fire. So like it would be sad to see like a group of players like that flop like this.
Hmm. But okay, the next game is, I mean, Newcastle versus Burnley. Newcastle easily.
I didn't see that game,
It was
unfortunately.
not a. It was not a. I mean, it was not something that is unexpected. We expected Newcastle to win, and Newcastle won it. As usual, Isaac, missed a lot
He gave me
of things.
points, FPL points, yeah.
Yeah, but then he also got some things. That's it. Wolves versus City was interesting because
I didn't watch that one either. I was also like thinking about watching it, but then the football fan in me said like, "Oh, seems like Wolves are winning. Why do you want to jinx it by turning your TV on? Just keep quiet, you know."
I mean, we all know what the Hee-chan guy can do, and he does. He did exactly what he does. You know. But I think before that, there was some disrespect from Pep
Pep,
Guardiola,
yeah, yeah.
and I mean, you sow what you or you get what you sow is what they would say, right? Like so, there was things. There was a meme that was going on about where what is going to stop this Manchester City from becoming invincible? He-chan was the answer. So I'm like,
No, it goes to show how difficult being invincible is. With every passing season, we're seeing a team that won the treble last season, getting beaten by a team that is going to fight relegation this season. No,
yep,
like that's how difficult it is, and the fans of other clubs would keep understating that achievement because they know they cannot get it.
yep. And the next game was like West Ham versus Sheffield. Of course, it's not a surprise that West Ham won 2-0. And I think like West Ham is creeping up on me. Like as in like I was initially thinking like all these pundits are over the moon. They always hype up David Moyes for absolutely no reason and stuff. but then like they are starting to turn results. They are getting those results.
I wouldn't like be worried or judge them just yet because we are just at the beginning of the season.
No,
And
I'm not saying they're gonna come up and like be a contender for the title or top
no,
four
no,
or
no.
whatever.
I don't go there. I'm just telling you, even for the European spots, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't like put. I don't have the same confidence that I have on Villa, uh, but when it comes to West Ham, because of the fact that I believe they do have good players, but I don't know how they would be able to manage once they get into all of the cup competitions because they are right now playing in the Europa, which is a tad higher than like Conference League, and the opposition is also going to be more difficult to play against. So given all that, I want to see them like how where they are by November when you have like sort of played your first round of games in your cup competition and then see how they're able to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that they're very reliant on one or two players right now,
Yep, I think
and
so.
and that cannot be sustainable for you in the long run.
The surprise of the week for me was Everton was playing actually really good, even preceding this game, and then they did an Everton. You
I
know.
love that result. I love that result. Honestly, number one, Luton got points. That
Yep.
was it's always nice to see like a team from the championship that is getting promoted get their first point. And second thing, I don't like Everton.
No
So
one
I was,
does.
yeah, I was disappointed even when they beat Brentford, though it was a good performance from them. I was actually disappointed. And I hate this glorification of Sean Dyche football.
No, I hate that too. So
Yeah.
do
And
well.
it's also probably personal because we always like, struggle when we go there to Goodison Park. And it was the
Yep.
first beat them in a long time. So for me, that is a huge factor in this like hatred against Everton. And then they were one of my candidates for going down this season. So let's see how that happens.
I mean, Luton got their first point, 2 goals, pretty solid goal and stuff. And then there was this Nottingham Forest Brentford game, which ended 1-1 draw, even though
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest had a card. I did not see that game, so I have nothing to add on to that.
I did not see it either.
And then we already talked about the refereeing decisions in the Tottenham versus Liverpool. For me, that was unfair what Tottenham got out of that game, and to be called like, oh, we are still unbeaten, they should be ashamed of calling themselves that. That's all I'm gonna leave it there. But then I also saw today's Fulham versus Chelsea. Mudrik got off mark,
Yeah, he
and
got off the mark. Yeah, yeah. It was a good goal actually. I was watching that. It was a good goal.
but
But
it was a terrible game from him again. It was funny to see Chelsea had lesser possession than Fulham in this game.
they did. The thing is, Fulham's home game. All that matters is the result at the end, right?
Yeah, but
So
still, the game was like equally poised. Chelsea just converted their chances. Fulham didn't.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
end of it.
It was a
Uh,
mistake too, right? The second, the Broya goal was like a
yeah,
mistake, uncharacteristic from someone like Tim Ream.
yeah.
You don't expect him to make mistakes like that. So, but again, it should do them some good. Let's see if they're able to sustain this and carry on. I'm not like saying that this is the flick of a switch that is going to help them win all their games, but like you need the stronger teams to be available to make the Premier League look good. Like you need new teams as well, but you need all the stronger teams to still maintain their levels of play. It, like an Arsenal not playing well for long was not just bad for Arsenal, but it was bad for the league as well.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with a team like Chelsea too. So that's what I same thing with United too. Though it's fun to watch these guys struggle, that's for the bigger thing. I think we need them to be back where they belong.
I think that's our take on this game week. Do let us know in the comments like what else do you want us to discuss. I think a very one word preview of the midweek game, the Champions League game. Do you
We
see
win
a lot of
2-1.
changes?
We
Two
win
and
2-1.
do
Yeah.
you see a lot of changes?
Not a lot, but there'll be a few changes definitely. Plus, like we
Rams
can only play with what we have. So I see Tomiyasu coming into the team. Uh,
Ramsdale coming in.
Ramsdale coming in. Kivior will be coming in for sure. We have 6 defenders, so 2 of them have to definitely play again. Probably see Cedric again towards the end of the game. Lance haven't been having a great season, though they were really good last season. They haven't been having a great season. I think they tend to go low block against tougher opposition. So it's going to be difficult, but like it's not going to be impossible to win. So with the confidence, I'm pretty sure we can win the game. I think like the likes of Eddie might get a rest.
Mm.
Jesus might play more minutes and Eddie might come in as a substitute. I think Fabio might start. Smith Rowe might start as well. George
Jorginho.
probably start as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining in, and meet you after the Lens game and probably for the Manchester City.
Big one. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.